Hello, guys. Good evening, and welcome to yet another AIM with DNK live. I am really looking forward for this session because this one is going to be super fun. So, welcome to another episode of AIM with DNK. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday night live stream, episode number 22. We have been doing this for almost 6 months by now. The episode number 22 is developing a startup mindset, and as always, I have a great session lined up for you tonight. But before we jump into the session, quickly a round of introduction and then we will get started. So my name is Dilnawaz Khan. I'm founder of Codesign Labs and PowerDeck. I'm an entrepreneur with a decade-long experience in startup space. And if you want to know about me, you can go and follow me and follow my journey on Instagram or LinkedIn. The ticker has my handle for both the social media accounts. And if you're here tonight, that means either you are an aspiring entrepreneur or you are somebody who's already entrepreneur. So stay till the end. I have a great session lined up for you. I'll quickly give you a brief what the session is all about. So let's jump right into the session, and this will be super fun because let me show you something that should excite you, or that will keep you excited for the entire session. Let me share my screen, and this is the session all about today. We're going to talk about the startup mindset. And if I have to summarize the entire talk, entire session, entire conversation, these are the two words I'm going to primarily be talking about: pivot or perish. And what a great time to talk about this particular thing because 2020 is about to end. We are about to hit 2021. Most of you I know will be making new resolutions. Most of you will be looking at doing a startup or doing something new. And as I said, almost most of my audience is all is student entrepreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs. And if you're watching this, uh, and if one of your new year resolution is to kind of uh, build your own startup, watch today's session because it will be super fun. And if you want to leave or come back and watch later, give me 2 minutes of your time before I tell you what all I'm going to cover because that will be super fun. So let me quickly jump right into the session. Today we're going to primarily be talking about pivot or perish, or rather prepare, right? So these are the three key terms we're going to talk about today: pivot, perish, or prepare, because 2020 has shown us that the world is not that stable or that certain of a place. All right. So in this episode of Aim with DNK, tonight I am going to cover these six broad topics that one of you I'm sure will be meaningful to you. So what is a startup mindset? Why all of you watching this live, and why all of you who are students, who are employees, who are aspiring entrepreneurs, or maybe current business owners, or maybe professionals, or maybe consultants, why do you need to have a startup mindset? What do we even mean by a startup mindset? Why do we need to have one? And then I am going to specifically dedicatedly talk about startup mindset for aspiring entrepreneurs, startup mindset for business owners, startup mindset for employees, and startup mindset for students, and how all of these things will help you in maybe becoming a better professional, a better student, a better business employee, a better employee, a better business, whatever, right? So I think, as I said, startup or startup mindset is basically begins from here. You need not be a business owner. You all have to have a mindset that enables you to function with certain abilities, like with which the startup moves, and you will be able to kind of crack or incorporate those things into your existing thing, whatever you're doing, whether you're as I said, whether you're a student or an aspiring entrepreneur or a business owner or an employee. These things will help you. So drop excited in chat or drop a boom in chat if you are looking forward for the session. Or and most importantly, the thing that matters to me the most, if you I'll be really grateful if you can like the video. Even if you want to leave or come back later and watch this later, it will be on YouTube. But the ability to live enables us to work as a community together. We can talk, interact. So like the video, subscribe the channel if you haven't done so far, and most importantly, make sure to stay till the end. Interact with me in chat, drop a boom in chat, drop excited in chat, show me some love. And of course, as always, whatever questions you have, please keep on posting your questions in the chat around startups, around entrepreneurship. And most importantly, the topic of the day is developing startup mindset. I will try and cover as many questions as possible in today's session. So drop a boom in the chat if you're excited, and let's get started. So what is a startup mindset? I first quickly want to talk about what is a startup mindset and why should we have one. So what is startup mindset? There are basically, in my research on the internet, when I was looking online, when I was looking at a couple of other things, these are six primary characteristics that any and every startup typically has. Because all of us, and of course if you've been following all my sessions, you have seen we have already spoken about what a startup is. Something which is scalable, which is technology backed, which is something that is innovative in nature, right? And the lot of things which we can incorporate from the traditional conventional startup methodology into our life, into our work, into our business, into our routine things, so that we become innovative, leaner, adaptable, agile, flexible, and transparent, right? So what we will do, ladies and gentlemen, today we will see how these six principles, which are primarily which are basically the core component of startup mindset, how these six principles you can apply individually into your own lifestyle for that matter, right? So just to kind of give you a quick summary, I'm sure you know what innovative means, right? It's rapid innovation, or ability to change or combat the current system, or bring in the innovation, bring in newness using newer technology. Innovating or breaking the barriers is what innovation is about, all about. Leaner, of course, has become really kind of a common word in couple of last few years rather. You have to be lean, you have to be adaptable, you have to be agile as an organization, as a person. If you are not lean, we have already seen what happened in past 6 months to the organization that were not lean, they were not adaptable, and they were not agile. Agile means you really need to be able, you need to have the ability to quick fast. You also need to be very flexible. You cannot carry the mindset of 19th century or 20th century now in this modern world, especially if you're a businessman, or if you are a student, or if you are an entrepreneur, an aspiring one. And most importantly, transparency, right? You can't, you know, be live in a world, because the information is public, everything is out there. You can't live in a world where things are not transparent. So these are primarily six components or six things which create a startup mindset. Of course, I'll not bore you out with the theory. That's not the objective for today's session, because I don't want to kind of go deeper. You can simply search startup mindset in Google, and there are a lot of articles which will come, which will be able to find. The idea of today's session is to help you figure out how to incorporate that. And you know, all this I'm speaking from my personal experience, number one, and on the through the ability of the counseling and the advisory I do on the side. And if you have anything to contribute, feel free to utilize chat well. You can also quickly chit chat among yourself, feel free to do that. Greet each other, talk to each other, but most importantly, if you have anything to add at any point in time, feel free to use the chat, and feel free to also give me a feedback, so that I know you are there listening to me. And whatever questions, whatever points you have, feel free to add them in the chat. Okay, so moving ahead, these are the six broad components behind a startup mindset, right? So why do we need the startup mindset? First of all, like, why are we even talking about the startup mindset? I think the timing is also very important. As I said initially, we are almost at the end of 2020. Within the next 10-12 days, we're going to enter a new year, and most of you will be one making new year resolutions. Especially most of the students, most of the people in job would want to start something of their own. And I think this session today will help them in developing a mindset around the startup methodology or startup thinking. Uh, also uh, if I have to give you one word, or one liner, from a virus to climate change, one word that summarizes the entire condition of the world right now is uncertainty, right? We live in a world which is hugely uncertain, and all of us has witnessed that in past uh, rather 10 months or 8 months for that matter, right? Imagine January 2020, if somebody would have come to you and told you that the world is going to go into a lockdown, and you're going to be in your home, locked in for like 3 months. You will not be able to fly, or whatever. You will not be able to eat food outside, or whatever we have seen, all that. You wouldn't have believed that person, right? And if you agree with me, drop your comments, guys, drop your comments. So we live in a world which is very, very uncertain. So from and there are numerous problems that we want to solve or are in front of us, right? The world is changing faster than ever, and things are becoming more and more unpredictable. So from a virus to climate change, we have so many things. Now to solve this, or and to enter into this system, we need uh, a startup mindset, right? So let me start breaking up the entire session for you guys, and if you are one of those people who belong to this particular category, drop things in comments, right? So the first thing I want to talk about for entrepreneurs and for aspiring entrepreneurs: how can entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs incorporate startup mindset into whatever they're doing? If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, it will be a great learning session for you. If you're already an entrepreneur, maybe especially early stage, it will help you to kind of become more flexible, faster, agile, right? So let me read this line for you. Do you want to build the next big thing, or impact people's life and bring change? This is something I've been going to so many pitches out there. I've been going to so many startup conferences out there, and when I go and talk to first time entrepreneurs or student entrepreneurs or people who aspire to be, the problem with them is they want to build the next big thing. They want to build the next $1 billion company. They want to build the next $1 million company. They want to bring the change or change the world or bring impact to people's life, but they have no freaking plan in the world how to do that, right? That is the problem. They have no plan. So the startup mindset will enable them to execute what I'm going to talk about. And I'm sure if you are an aspiring entrepreneur watching this, let me know. And I'm sure you would also have this thought. I'm sure I'm no, you are excited, you are enthusiastic, you want to go all out there, change the world, be the next billionaire. All things are there. Or you are maybe a socially sensitive person. You have a lot of empathy. You want to go out there and solve a problem. You want to go and solve the problem of poverty or women's safety or corruption or climate change, but and of course bring impact to people's life. But you have no clue, no idea how to do that, because it's a mammoth of a problem. You are not government, or you are not United Nations. You can't go and solve that, or you don't have 1,000 crores to kind of deploy and solve that. So there are three ways startup mindset will enable you to execute. Is number one, enabling you to break the problem. The great strategy of solving anything big is to eat or solve it into small chunks and small pie. That's how you eat a big pizza, or that's how you eat a big pie. You break into smaller problems and you solve it, right? There are a lot of techniques, a lot of articles, a lot of videos available online that will teach you how to break a big problem into smaller problem, but breaking the bigger problem. So for example, if you want to solve the problem of poverty or corruption or hunger or women's safety or climate change, for that matter, as I said, you need to solve that problem, go really, really lean, really, really niche, and then kind of break that bigger problem into a smaller problem, and then go and solve it out there, right? So startup mindset will help you in breaking the problem. Most importantly, creating leaner solution. Another challenge that I see with lot of first time entrepreneurs, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, that they want big money to solve a big problem, right? They come and pitch that, hey, I need 10 crore rupees to go and solve this problem, or maybe I need 10 lakh rupees to go and solve this problem. The challenge is, why the hell will somebody give you 10 crore rupees or 10 lakh rupees if you are just a student, or if you are a first time entrepreneur? Because you have no credibility, you haven't proved yourself before. So this will enable you to create leaner solution, quicker solution, that will enable you to quickly go to market, do rapid testing, rapid validation, rapid prototyping, and will give a lot of trust in mind of an investor, give trust in mind of people who are going to back you, so that they go out there and kind of back you. And of course, I've already done a detailed video onto this, which is on understanding investors mindset. If you follow my channel, if you have been watching my videos, I've done a 1.5 hour video on this already. If you are somebody who's in the process of fundraising, go and watch that video as well, right? And third is of course rapid market testing, right? You need to be really, really fast when you're building a new product, especially if you are a aspiring entrepreneur, right? Because for you, resource, time, money, people, every day counts. Everything is critical for you. You are in a resource crunch, right? So this will enable you to go out there and do the rapid market testing. These three things, if you incorporate from the startup mindset point of view in your entrepreneurship journey, especially if you are an aspiring entrepreneur. I'm sure I would have been able to clarify a couple of doubts here for all those who are watching me for the first time or watching here as an aspiring entrepreneur. This will help you a lot, right? So the second important category I'm going to talk about is implementation of startup mindset for business owners. Now, this is the community, this is the club, this is the group which is the most rigid. And when I say business, I'm of course talking about the entrepreneurs, but I'm not talking about the startup founders or the startup entrepreneurs. I'm talking about the SMEs or MSMEs or traditional, conventional businesses, primarily industries. Now, the problem with startup owners and all of these people, business owners, sorry, the problem with business owners is that all of these guys are absolutely rigid. They have been running businesses which are either very very old, or they come from a very stubborn mindset. And we have seen in past 6 months or 10 months, most of these people were not able to survive. And as I said, you need to develop or incorporate the startup mindset if you are a business owner today. You cannot skip this, my friends. So ladies and gentlemen, for all of you, here we go about the couple about couple of things that you as a business owner needs to incorporate. But let me first tell you the problem that will summarize everything together. So do you juggle all day long and think that you're stuck and unable to grow your business? If you are somebody who resonates with what's written on the screen right now, if you are somebody who is a business owner, if you think I'm stuck, I'm juggling all day, I'm not able to take a break, without me my business will fail, or I'm not able to grow my business beyond a certain capacity, or I'm stuck, and I said this is a lot because of the stuck mindset, right? You need startup mindset. And how will it enable you, or how will it enable you to kind of grow a business and solve the problem or solve the situation that you're seeing on the screen? This will, one, enable you, or rather the startup mindset will enable you to adopt new technology, best practice, and resource utilization. This is very very evident that a lot of businesses are not utilizing technology to the core. They are just working on those redundant methodologies that were built like ages ago. A great example of this particular thing is that a lot of businesses, in fact, let me give you this example. I've spoken about this earlier also, but let me give you one example, or rather this example once again. A lot of restaurants and cafes were hit when the lockdown started, and in fact, most of them really got shut down. And primarily, these were the ones who are not enabling technology for delivering the food via Swiggy or Zomato, or for that matter, were not into some sort of a parallel business or business models, so that they have another stream of money or flow coming in. So a lot of chefs and restaurant guys run YouTube channel, run consultancy businesses, run podcasts, run some sort of a digital venture parallelly, or they are selling things online via Swiggy and Zomato. So they were able to they were able to generate some sort of revenue for the business, so they didn't fail, right? So you as a business, you need to adopt newer technologies. You need to also learn about the best practices, and this is the resource utilization. It's a big challenge, right? If you are somebody who's a business owner, you would have seen in your organization half of your employees and half of your resources are underutilized or badly utilized, or they just there's undisguised, there's disguised employment happening in our company, right? I'm sure if you're watching this tonight, you would resonate with me that this is happening in the companies. And even the bigger offices got shut down and the work from home started. So again, that resource utilization went for a toss, right? So you need to adopt new technologies, best practice, and resource utilization, right? Second, and the most important thing, which I kind of partially touched into the first thing, was explore opportunities and vertical and horizontal integration. A lot of redundant businesses are bad, or old businesses are bad at exploring opportunities and specifically integrating the business model into something called as vertical and horizontal integration. Now, I know this is a little heavy in terms of a session, in terms of content, because it is little technical session. But I'm sure if you start researching online, if you start googling online, if you start reading more, and if you belong to one of those four categories I spoke about, it will help you eventually and gradually to grow and develop mindset. All right. So be with me. If even if you find it a little heavier, take it and try and absorb it and maybe rewatch the session a couple of times and maybe do your Google search, because good things are not that easy for that matter, right? So coming on to the point is exploring opportunities and vertical integration and horizontal integration. Very, very important if you are a redundant old business. And last but not the least, the older the business is, or the lala the business is, or the rigid the business is, they become less and less like efficient, and they are bad at customer service. So you need to kind of become faster, rather transparent, rather agile, and make sure your customer service is also very, very efficient. We have seen this with even with the corporates. So startup mindset will enable you to become faster, agile, lean, transparent, and enable you to serve your customer in a much, much, much better way. I'll quickly give all of you a pause for 10 seconds so that you can absorb about these two primary things I've spoken about. And at any point in time, all those who are watching, first of all, thank you so much for being here tonight with me, right? But also, most importantly, if you want to kind of ask any question about any of the things I've spoken about, or if you want to contribute anything, or if you have any other questions about startups, please make sure you drop your questions into the live chat, and I'll pick them up as and when we're able to end the session in a couple of minutes, right? Okay, moving ahead. The third and the most important and the most exciting sector is employees. As the definition of employees, relationship of employers and employees have changed a lot over rather past decade, but even in past 1 year. Right from cutting salaries to firing to HR chasing great talent to retain them, to companies poaching good talent, a lot of dynamics has happened in the startup ecosystem, or rather business ecosystem. And as an employee, if you are an employee, why do you need a startup mindset, and what are the best practices on the startup mindset you can incorporate, or you need to incorporate if you have to be a better employee? If I can summarize your situation in one line, let me know and drop a comment in chat if you resonate. So, do you hate your current job, or hate your boss or your company? This is one thing which is very, 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 very common with the employees. Half of the people in the employment space, rather 80%, if I can escalate the number to a bigger level, they keep on cribbing. They are like, I don't like my boss, I don't like my job, I don't like my company, or I don't like my manager. And see, ultimately you have to work, but why do we crib and work? Why can't we adopt or do something that we love or that we want to do? Why don't we look forward? And it's not the case, that things cannot be better. So how will the startup mindset enable you to break this kind of a mentality that you hate your job or hate your company or hate your boss, right? And if you resonate, let me know in the chat if you what do you think about this particular statement. So how will the startup mindset enable you to break this barrier, right? So there are three things that I want to speak to the employees out there. One, see, the organizations do not want something called as cubicle level employees. As I said, if organizations, if businesses incorporate a startup mindset, they would also want their employees to have a startup mindset, right? And what do we mean by employees having a startup mindset? Nobody wants a cubicle level employee or somebody who expects a 9 to 5, right? We have seen that in past couple of months, the line between the work life balance in the home or work from home and work at home has kind of blurred, and everything is merged together, right? If you've seen that. So even the employees, even the employers do not want cubicle level employees, that this guy is not going to put his brain. They want smarter, efficient, better, intelligent, high performing people, right? So if a startup mindset will enable you to be a better employee and not be a cubicle level employee. Second is that a startup mindset also enables you to be jack of many and master of one, right? There was a time when people were looking for specialists, but now you have to also be a generalist along with being a specialist. If you, even as an employee, do not bring enough on the table, it's a hugely competitive market out there. So you definitely need to have mastery at one thing, but you only need to be also a jack of multiple things. You need to be able to incorporate and do a lot of things together, right? And last but not the least, you should have the ability to do something called as frugal innovation. Now, what do we mean by frugal innovation? By frugal innovation means that lot of companies, what they have started doing is they have started incorporating innovation at the employee level. You must have seen corporate hackathons or ideathons or even design thinking and lean methodology practices workshops happening for the employees even in the organizations. The employer now wants the employee to be innovative and to utilize the resource in the best way possible and innovate frugally wherever possible. So nobody's asking them to be cheap, but people cheap in the sense like a cheap, but people are asking them to utilize and use the resources as if they own it, right? And that's why smaller teams, leaner teams, faster teams, more agile teams, quicker teams have now become the part of organization, and that's how most of the organizations work across the globe. In fact, for that matter, if you look at bigger technology companies, they've really smaller teams and small teams across the country, and which is like a very small 3 people, 4 people, 5 people team managing the entire country for that matter, right? So frugal innovation, so ability to frugal innovation. So if you are an employee, these are the things that you should be incorporating from the startup mindset point of view if you have to be or survive the uncertainty of the world, right? And last but not the least, sorry, I missed the slide there. Last but not the least, my favorite segment or the audience that I cater to the most, students, right? How many times have you cursed the education system than finding a hack? All of you folks out there have been simply sitting on a lazy bum and you have been cursing the education system. Your teachers are not good, your college is not good, your city is not good, your principal is not good, you're being fed with the bad education system or bad courses. But how many of you have really found a hack to it? And when I say hack, I'm really not saying hack the computer, I'm saying hack the system. There's enough information, material, knowledge, and opportunity out there that if you incorporate the startup mindset, my friends, you will be able to kind of overcome all the barriers. And for you as a student, the competition is by default really low. Trust me on that. And I have seen this happening with high or good colleges and good academic institutions already. So if you are in a tier 2 or a tier 3, or if you're in a tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 college, or in a bad city, do not crib for opportunities, because there are enough opportunities out there already. It is your laziness, it is your lazy bum, it is your lack of skill, it is your lack of communication, lack of intent, lack of will, lack of hard work that is not enabling you to do that. So how a startup mindset can enable all of this for you and unlock a lot of opportunities for you? So for students, right, ability to learn new skills, better employability, and the most important thing I want to talk about is CV versus skill, right? If you are a student, if you are able to learn a lot of new skills, you by default become better employable, right? I've done a video on this on my YouTube channel, which is called why college is the best time to do the startup, right? If you are in a college today and if you are not building a startup, if you're not becoming an entrepreneur or not thinking to become an entrepreneur, you are literally wasting the golden years of your life when you could have taken the maximum risk. Most importantly, because of the resource availability and the support availability, right? So if you even do not want to become an entrepreneur for your life, at least try being an entrepreneur or try building a startup back in college, or else you leave the opportunity. If nothing will happen, you will eventually at least be able to be a better employee, right? And to kind of strengthen that point, right, CV versus skill, nobody looks for your CV and certificates, right? I passed my college almost 10, 12 years back. That was the time when nobody was looking at certificates. We're living in the age of internet. If you are really good, if you have right skill, and if you have the ability to give your all in, right? Nobody wants a damn or goddamn certificate. People want skill. Can you get the job done is the question. If you can get the job done, you are in business, my friends. You are an employee, or you are a part of the company, right? And this leads to the second point, which is ownership, right? Other than getting the job done, how much ownership, how much accountability do you hold? As I said, for even and this is most importantly, as I say, saying I'm talking to the student, but eventually if you go out there and do a job, right? As I said, people would want employees to have multiple skills, but other than the skill, they also now expect higher level of accountability and ownership from you, right? So you cannot just be there and say, hey, I'll do 9 to 5 thing, but I don't own any bloody thing in the organization. No, other than the owner, you are accountable for your own project, you're accountable for the team you lead, you're accountable for any and everything. And therefore startup mindset for you as a student will give you a sense of ownership. Now why I'm telling to you, from the student point of view, of course everybody would need ownership, everybody would need some sort of an accountability, but most importantly, students are the biggest community which is least accountable or least or takes ownership lightly, because they have nothing to lose in the transaction, right? They are they're the finicky one, they move out quickly, right? And therefore the more transparent, accountable, or ownership you hold, the better the relation will be. And of course it will help you, most importantly, as I said last, be world ready, right? So if you are a student, this entire thing will enable the startup mindset, will enable you to be world ready. As I said, for you, my friends who are watching this, who are students, the world is changing, my friends. The world is changing. Things are, changing faster than ever. And I know you want to do a lot of things, but you need to kind of get up and go out there and get the things done rather than waiting for some magic to happen, right? On this note, right, let me, because I now only have the conclusion to left. So on that note, let me first of all, before I give you the conclusion for today's talk, I would request, if you haven't liked the video, please like the video, guys. If you like the advice, if you have anything to contribute, make sure you post that contribution or your comments in the chat. And let me also quickly read a few comments that have come in and thank people who have joined me today. So thank you, Geetu ma'am, I can see you here, thank you so much for being here. Mukul, super awesome, you're here finally. Harshit, Harsh, Pratibha, Komal, Ayush, Divyansh, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please make sure you drop the questions in chat. And now let me start wrapping today's session and let me move on to the conclusion for today. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can start posting your questions, or else we'll wrap today's session. So, on the conclusion part, I want to primarily talk to you about these three terms and these three very, very important perspectives, right? So there's something called startup, right? As I said, I've already spoken enough about startups. There are certain characteristics a startup holds, right? You have to be leaner, you have to be highly innovative, you have to be scalable, you have to be technology backed. Not every business can become a startup, right? But every business from the broader point of view uh, is basically entrepreneurship or run by a business thing. So if you allow me to kind of show you one slide, I created a small graphic really, really long back, which will help you to kind of understand what I'm trying to say right now. And if you allow me, ladies and gentlemen, if you can see this, so rather, let me zoom it for you so that you can see it. So every business in the world is basically, so every transaction, every business is in yellow, and startup is basically a red bubble inside that, which basically has special characteristics, right? So every transaction, every businessman, every trader, everybody who's in the process, who's in the kind of a business of some sort of a transaction is an entrepreneur. But every entrepreneur is not a startup founder, or every business is not a startup. But why I'm telling you all of this is because if you are an entrepreneur, if you uh, are a non-startup founder, if a business is non-startup for that matter, right, you still can incorporate a startup mindset into your current entrepreneurial venture, right? Because without that, it will be really, really tough for all of you to kind of build your business. And we have already seen, just to conclude, we have already seen what has happened in 2020. And I'm sure 2020 as a year would have opened our eyes and kind of given us a very, very different perspective about our world. So for all those who have been watching my videos constantly, was first of all, thank you for all your support. And most importantly, I try and do these videos every week, and I try and answer your questions as well. uh, last couple of minutes before we wrap today's session, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and then I'll start wrapping. So I hope I was able to kind of give you a broad perspective in today's session. What is a startup mindset? Why do you need a startup mindset? And how can startup or developing a startup mindset will give you better opportunities and will make you world ready if you're a student, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a startup founder, an aspiring startup founder, or if you are an existing businessman. And of course, nothing will happen in day one. You will need a lot of practice, lot of adaptability, lot of flexibility if you want to incorporate all of them in your existing kind of things, whatever you're doing, right? So on that note, now the next session that I'm going to do on next Saturday. So I'll be doing sessions every Saturday. I'm not taking any break, guys, during the New Year time as well. So don't bother. I'm not going anywhere. Even I'm having a session on 26th. So please make sure you do not miss that session. And that session is going to be on social media strategies for 2021. The biggest thing that 2020 taught us was that we need to be digital and digitally active. If you are a businessman, if you're a student, if you're as a student, if you're not on LinkedIn, if you as a business are not on LinkedIn, if you're as a business are not doing social media marketing or digital marketing for that matter, whether B2B, whether B2C, if you as a professional are not leveraging social media for your personal branding, despite the fact doesn't matter you want to be a brand or not, but you're not active socially, you do not exist. So in the next session, next Saturday, I will be primarily talking about social media strategy for 2021. And then, of course, in the next session after that, I will be talking about a couple of hot sectors as an aspiring entrepreneur that you need to keep a watch on in 2021. So I've got amazing sessions lined up for you guys. Make sure you subscribe the channel. Most importantly, turn on the bell icon and also join the Discord server and the WhatsApp group so that you get the notification, because YouTube sometimes really messes up with the notification setting. So you get live notification on the Discord. You have a WhatsApp group where you get the live notification. And of course, if you don't have the access to the Discord link, in the video description you can find the Discord link. And if you want the WhatsApp group link as well, drop me the DM on Instagram and I will give the link to you there. All right. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's session of AMA with DNK. I know winters have come in. It's really chilly. People don't want to kind of listen to such sessions, but we will not stop. We will continue with the limited audience that we have. And I'm absolutely thankful to all of you who joined me tonight on this session. It was shorter, crisper, but a very, I would say, very heavy session. So go and rewatch this video. Make sure you share it with people around. And I don't have a question. So on that note, let's wrap. And I hope it was insightful. Thank you so much. And feel free to share this with your friends, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you next Saturday on the next episode of AMA with DNK. Bye bye. Good night. Take care. And thank you so much. See you next Saturday.